For centuries, we've been told a simple story. The Great Pyramids of Giza, monuments of ancient power, were built by the blood, sweat, and tears of countless slaves. But what if that story, the one we all learned in school, is completely wrong? What if the truth is far more incredible and has been intentionally hidden for thousands of years? Today, we're repealing back the layers of history to expose one of the biggest cover-ups of the ancient world. Who really built the pyramids? Let's start by demolishing the biggest myth of all, the slave narrative. This idea, popularized by Hollywood films and ancient Greek historians like Herodotus, paints a picture of brutal taskmasters whipping legions of forced laborers. But modern archaeology tells a completely different story. Excavations near the pyramids have unearthed something astonishing, not slave quarters, but a highly organized city for the workers. Archaeologists like Dr. Mark Lehner and Dr. Zahi Hawass have spent decades uncovering this lost city. They found bakeries capable of producing thousands of loaves of bread daily, fish processing plants, and breweries. They found evidence of a high-protein diet: beef, mutton, fish, the kind of food you'd give to valued workers, not disposable slaves. These weren't just laborers. They were skilled craftsmen, engineers, and foremen, living with their families in a thriving community. Even more telling are the tombs discovered right next to the pyramids. In ancient Egypt, being buried near the pharaoh was a tremendous honor, reserved for royalty and high officials. Yet, here we find the graves of the pyramid builders themselves. Their inscriptions proudly bear titles like Overseer of the Side of the Pyramid and Director of Draftsmen. These men were respected. Their final resting place was a reward for their service to the king and the gods. Slaves would never have been granted such a privilege. One inscription simply reads, "The Friends of Khufu Gang." This wasn't a gang of slaves. It was a team, a crew with a shared purpose and a sense of pride. So, if not slaves, then who were they? The evidence points to a national project, a massive undertaking that unified the entire country. The workforce was likely made up of seasonal agricultural workers. During the annual Nile flood, when farmland was underwater and agricultural work was impossible, thousands of Egyptians would travel to Giza. They would work on the pyramid for a few months as a form of civil service or taxation. Known as a corvée, they were paid in food, beer, clothing, and housing. It was a temporary rotation of skilled citizens, not a permanent enslaved class. Imagine the scale of this operation. It was the ancient equivalent of the Apollo space program. It required unprecedented levels of organization, logistics, and engineering genius. The project was led by a vizier, the pharaoh's right-hand man, who acted as the chief architect and project manager. We even know the name of the vizier who likely oversaw the Great Pyramid of Khufu, Himyunu. His statue, found in his tomb at Giza, shows a man of intelligence and authority. These weren't primitive people just dragging stones. They were masters of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. The precision of the pyramids is mind-boggling. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with an accuracy that modern architects would find difficult to replicate. Its base is almost perfectly level. How did they achieve this? They used simple but ingenious tools: plumb bobs, set squares, and water-filled trenches to establish level foundations. They observed the stars to find true north. And what about moving those massive 2.5-ton blocks? The common image is of men straining to pull them across the sand. But a fascinating discovery has changed our understanding. An ancient papyrus, the diary of a man named Merer, was found at a port on the Red Sea. Merer was an official in charge of about 40 elite workers. His diary, the only first-hand account of the pyramid construction, ever found details how they transported limestone from quarries in Tora across the Nile, and then through a system of man-made canals that brought the stone right to the base of the Giza Plateau. They weren't just dragging them across miles of desert. They were using a sophisticated water transport network. The diary also describes the construction of massive ramps. While we still debate the exact shape of these ramps, whether they were straight, spiral, or internal, it's clear they were a key part of the process. Recent studies using cosmic ray imaging have detected voids inside the Great Pyramid. which some researchers believe could be the remnants of an internal ramp system, built up and then dismantled as the pyramid grew. So why was the truth covered up? Why did the slave story stick? The idea originated with Herodotus, the Greek historian who visited Egypt 2,000 years after the pyramids were built. He heard local stories and, perhaps through a mix of misunderstanding and embellishment, wrote them down. Later, the biblical story of the Israelites enslaved in Egypt became intertwined with the pyramids in the popular imagination, even though the timelines don't match up. The image of suffering slaves was simply a more dramatic and simple narrative than the complex reality of a paid, skilled, and respected national workforce. It was a story that fit a certain worldview, and it took modern science and archaeology to finally set the record straight. The real story of the pyramid builders is in many ways more awe-inspiring than the myth. It's a story of human ingenuity, national pride, and incredible organization. It shows a society capable of mobilizing its entire population for a single monumental goal. These weren't faceless slaves. They were Egyptians. They were bakers, brewers, stonemasons, and engineers. They were people who lived, worked, and were honored for building eternity for their king, and in doing so, achieved a form of eternity for themselves. The pyramids are not a monument to oppression. They are a testament to the power of human collaboration and belief. The cover-up wasn't a malicious plot. It was the slow drift of history, where a simpler, more sensational story overshadowed a more complex truth. But today, thanks to the tireless work of archaeologists digging in the sand, the real builders of the pyramids are finally getting the credit they deserve. What do you think? Does this change how you see these ancient wonders? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed uncovering this ancient secret with us, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more historical deep dives.